Hello YouTube, and welcome to Virtual World's Unreal tutorial series. In this series we're going to be covering many aspects of Unreal production, different game development techniques to get things achieved. In this video we're going to be learning the basics about layout and navigation. First of all, what you're going to want to do is download the Unreal 4 development kit, which is Unreal 4 engine, which I believe the current version is on 4.22.1 or something like that. I'll leave the link in the description where you can download it. It's free to use. The only stipulation is if you earn so much every quarter, you have to pay them like 10 or 15%. Other than that, it's free to use. If you don't earn that much, you don't owe them a thing. Alright, let's get started. Once you've loaded it up, you'll see this in your tray icon, or you'll see it on your desktop called Epic Games Launcher. You load that up, then you'll be presented with this. And in the top right, it'll say launch because I've already got it installed. On yours, if you haven't got it installed, it'll prompt you to install the latest version of Unreal Engine. So you go ahead and do that, and then you load it up. And when it's loaded up, you'll be presented with this screen. And this is asking you can load up old projects, but we'll click on new project. And this is asking you what type of project you want to create, whether it be a first person, a third person, a top down, a puzzle, or anything like that. And these are the settings for it down here. This is what platform you want to produce to, whether you want it desktop and console, or mobile and tablet. We'll leave it on desktop and console. This is the type of quality you want. We'll leave it on maximum. And this is with or without starter content. We'll leave it with starter content. We'll give it the name My Project by default. That's what it's called. So we'll go ahead and click Create Project. It'll just take a little moment to load up. It shouldn't take too long. Still busy thinking about it. We're nearly there, and we're in. It's just about to load now. Here we go, and this is what you'll be presented with. A default scene, default level. What you can do if you want to create a new level, you go to File, a new level, then you'll be presented with this. This is the default one, this is for virtual reality, and this is an empty level. I suggest if you're new, you click on the default one, and this is what you'll be presented with. A basic floor mesh, some lights, and a player start. Alright, we'll go through it. Up here you have your file, your edit, your window, and your help. Under file, you have things like new level, open level, save current, save all, new project, and open project. Under edit, you have undo and redo and delete and duplicate. Editor preferences, which is useful for setting up the editor the way you want it, whether you want auto save on or not and things like that. Project settings, which you'll be using quite a bit to use things like input key mappings and quality of your project. Then window, just you can bring up different windows if they're not already shown by default. And then under help you have the help files. Then directly beneath that you have the modes panel. This is the place one, is where you can select. If you click on that, you can actually select things. See, I've just highlighted that. You can tell by the contours around the outside of the mesh. Then you've got paint. Then you've got landscape for creating terrain. You've got a different type of paint, which is foliage, which is for placing down things like trees, grass, rocks, all that sort of stuff on your terrain. Then you've got the geometry editing. If I was to click on edit, you can do certain things here like extrude it, brush clip, edit it, and things like that, flip it, optimize it, and all that sort of stuff. That only works really with geometry, like BSP brushes. That's not meshes. We'll go back to place tab. Under here you have recently placed. That will just show you what you've recently placed down in case you want to access it again quickly. Basic has things like your cubes. Don't bother using cubes from here. You want to go to geometry for that. But basic's not really that useful apart from player start, which I find is very useful. And you've got the lights. Directional light is the overall light for your level, which is like the sun, which casts light in all directions, but you can choose a direction. This is directional light here, look, And as you see, this arrow here is pointing down this direction. That's the way it's pointing. That's where the light will be projected. Then you have point light, which is, if you drag it in, is a light in all directions. And when you've dropped it in, you've seen, you'll have the properties panel over here, the details tab, and you can change things like the attenuation radius. You can make the radius of the light bigger, smaller. You have intensity, which will make it brighter or darker, or less bright, sorry. We'll go ahead and delete that. You have a spotlight, which just casts a light in one direction. As you can see, it's facing down. That's the cone showing you where the light is projected. And you've got the intensity, the attenuation radius, and other properties, whether it casts shadows and whatnot, and the temperature. If you want to use the temperature of the scene, we'll get rid of that. Then we'll go down to visual effects. Under here, you have post-processing volume, which is used to apply the visual fidelity of the whole scene. So you can have different colors, temperatures, all sorts of different effects. And you have other properties in here as well you can set. Geometry is very useful for creating BSP brushes, which means binary space partition, and they're not meshes. They cost a lot more resources to use, but they're good for simple fillers like brick walls and whatnot, if you're not too many, or you want to subtract from a brush, you want to put holes in it. But you can convert your brushes to static meshes. Then you've got your volumes, such useful things as nav mesh bounds volume, which if you place that down like this, and we just put it in the floor a little bit, then press P on the keyboard, give it a second, and that green area shows when you set up your AI properly that this is the area which they'll be allowed to move along. This area here, you need a nav mesh bounds volume to be able to get the AI to move when you programmed it via Blueprints or C++ script. And that's it for the modes tab. Up here you have save current to save your level. You've got content, marketplace. If you click on marketplace, that'll take you to the marketplace where you can buy additional assets or get some free ones. Settings is important. You'll be finding you'll be going to the world settings and project settings quite a bit. If you load up project settings, you can see here, look what it looks like. If we expand that, you can see it's got useful things like maps and modes. Under there you can change the default map it loads up to, and under input, things like that. You've got if you click on action mappings, the plus arrow, then click the drop down arrow, you can now give it a name. Click the drop down arrow, then you can assign a button that you want it to be what you want to activate the command with. So if we want the flashlight, we type in flashlight there, and type it, we go to something like keyboard and look for the F key. Should be that one. It'll be called flashlight up there. Then you can go ahead and use that in your blueprints and program it in. That's project settings. Blueprints, if you click on that, what you have got, this one's very useful. Open up the level blueprint. If you click on that and load it up, every script in here, the blueprint script, will start as soon as the level happens. So if you want, it'll only apply to the level you're working on. So if you want something that happens later on with your characters or your map or anything like that, you wouldn't put it in the level blueprint. But if you want something to happen straight away, like music for the whole level that starts when the level starts, you'd put it in here. Then you have cinematics build is quite useful. Obviously, if you've got artifacts in your game, like lights not casting properly or anything, then you go to build lighting only, or lighting quality. I'd set to preview until you're ready for your final render, then choose production quality, and you can click on build geometry just to build the world, build paths, LODs, and build and submit if you want to submit your level to Epic Storefront. And then map check just comes up with any errors or anything like that you've got. And then if you want to build everything, just click on that. Don't bother clicking on the drop down arrow. If you want to play your map, just click on play. By default, if you click on the drop down arrow, it shows it's going to be played in our viewport. If we click play, as you can see, we're now moving around the viewport in our game. Just press escape to get out of there. But if you wanted to go full screen and see what it looked like in your standalone game, you click on standalone game. Then you've got launch. You've got a handy tools tip up here. In here, your world outliner, this is everything that's been placed into your scene you can find in here. And this is the details panel for whatever you've got selected. So if I select the mesh, it will change, and these will be the properties for the mesh, and so on and so forth. Down here is your content browser. This is where all of your assets are stored, and all your scripts, all your characters, everything, textures, materials, everything like that. If you want to import something new, like a new character model, or a new material, or a texture, or an FBX model, or something like that, you would click on import, and then you'd browse to the asset, and you click open, or you can just open up the folder via Windows Explorer and drag it into your content browser. If you click on this button here, it says Show or Hide Sources panel. It'll bring up your exact content browser, but in a hierarchy, and you can drag your assets into this hierarchy here. Save all will save all your assets in the project. So a good idea when you're saving is click Save Current, and if you're not sure about it, save your project, your files in your project since you've updated them last, whether you've imported new assets and whatnot, you click Save All. And up here, if we just zoom out a bit, you have select and translate objects. If this one's selected, it'll bring up a little widget with 3 directions, X, Y, and Z values, left, right, up, and down. So now we can move it along. But if you want to snap to the grid, you've got to make sure this one's on for your move, and it's on 10. So if we put it on, say 100, as you'll see, it's now staggered in 100 unit increments. See that? It's snapping. So the higher the number, the more snapping you'll have. And this one is rotate objects. So if you click on this and hold down the left mouse button and move, say 40, it's now 40 degrees rotated. That's with the snapping on. If you want to turn the snapping off for that one, you click on this one. It says enables or disables snapping objects to a rotation grid. And now when we rotate it, it moves it freely. We'll turn the rotation grid back on. And if you click on this one, this will scale the object. If you click on the bottom one, it will scale it at all. Or you can click on this axis and it will scale it that way. If you want to turn off the scaling snapping, you click on this one here and it'll move it freely. You can also change the scaling parameters up here, bigger or smaller, same as the rotation. You can rotate by 5 degrees, 10 degrees, 15, 30, 45, 60, 90, and so on. And that's pretty much it for the basics YouTube. If you've liked this video, it's been useful at all, please give it a like. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. Thank you very much YouTube for watching, and have a great day.